That's it!
Oh my,
Not
don't say
wrong.
it. Don't jinx it.
Oh, he missed. He missed.
Oh yeah, we got it! We're going to Florida again!
What's up, everyone? My name is Mitchell Saltzman with IGN, and what you just saw was our team, 4 Unks and Nephew, winning the Capcom New Challengers Tournament for Street Fighter 6. This was such an amazing, awesome experience, and I thought I would do a video kind of walking everyone through what this tournament was, what went down, some of the key reasons that I think our team ended up coming out on top, and yeah, just kind of go through the process of becoming a better Street Fighter 6 player when you're coached by someone as good as Nephew. So let's dive into it. I never thought I'd be able to do one of these videos, but this is how Team Nephew won the Street Fighter 6 New Challengers Tournament. So to start, let's just go over what this event is. This is the third year that Capcom has done these New Challenger tournaments. The idea is that it's similar. If you're familiar with the Stage Jam Slam, it's pretty much Capcom's own spin on it. The general idea is that there are 4 teams that are made up of creators. Each of those teams gets paired with a Street Fighter 6 pro who trains them up for a period of about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And then at the end of the training period, we all come together, we play in the tournament where the first round, everyone plays each other. The top 2 scoring teams move on to the finals, where they keep on playing each other until one team reaches 70 points. Teams themselves are divided by skill, so you have the top player who's kind of like, you know, I would say around 1800, maybe even 1900 MR. You have the level below that, which is the high master tier. That's generally people who have reached 1600 MR or you know, are a little bit above or a little bit below. Then you have the intermediate tier, and then you have the beginner tier, which is people that for the most part haven't played like a single second of Street Fighter 6 prior to this event. On my team, we had Blood Thunder in the beginners tier, who is a speedrunner, also a very skilled Tekken player. We really lucked out with our beginner seed here.
They're gonna have to definitely leave Blood Thunder alone in the next round of this. They need to try to make this be Blood Thunder's last game.
Blood Thunder grinded this game like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. He was doing like 12-hour streams. He started out as a rookie and then grinded his way all the way up to Platinum 2, which is insane. Just above that, we have Bricky, who is a very popular streamer, doesn't typically play a lot of fighting games, but has in the past competed in a Stage Jam Slam, so he had a very stable base in Street Fighter 6 to start with.
Oh my god. Hold on.
Bro, what are we watching?
Bro,
This was the
seen
free 20 we
evolution.
thought. I thought it was the free 20.
Bro, I thought so too, but Ricky said, nah, you thought this was free? Look at this. Setup, offense.
And then we have me. And if you're not familiar with who I am, basically my job at IGN is a senior guides producer, which means that my main job is to focus on guides content. But that job doesn't always keep me busy throughout the year. Sometimes there are slow periods, and so during those slow periods, I like to take on reviews. But most relevant to this tournament is the fact that I am a huge fighting game fan, and these games are really why I spend a lot of my free time playing after work. And then above me as our top player, we had Brawl Pro. He's an amazingly talented fighting game player. He used to be a coach on the very first Stage Jam Slam for Tekken, but he also has a damn good Zangief in Street Fighter, as we'll see in just a little bit. So that's the format, that's our team, and now I figure it would be a good idea to kind of look into the training sessions and just talk about the Nephew factor of it all, because man, I can't speak for everyone else on my team, but Nephew was such a huge factor in me performing the way that I did in this tournament. Our first training session started with a little bit of going through some common knowledge checks that my opponent's characters like to use. For Karku's Honda, a big part of it was butt slam counterplay. This is a tricky move that a lot of Honda players like to use a lot since its plus on block leads to a knockdown on hit, which puts you in a strike throw mix up when you get back up.
I think it's neutral jump and air throw. That way you'll get to both sides. Yeah, because I think jumping back or forward actually messes up like if it detects if it's behind you or in front of you.
And sure enough, this came in handy in the actual match.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a run through to start things off. Oh my god, the air throw.
For Chun-Li, we covered her cross-up jump that she likes to use to get out of the corner, calling out the instant air legs by just crouching next to her on wake up, ways to deal with her fireball, etc. Stuff that, I'm gonna be honest, I still need to work on. But perhaps the most valuable thing was having Nephew simply watch me play some ranked matches and give me feedback on what I was doing wrong or what I was missing out on that could be better.
Yeah, it was good up until you did the EX Hooligan and burned yourself out.
It was good until you did something really stupid. One of the big and easily fixable notes that he noticed was that I was often defaulting to shimmying instead of establishing the threat of the throw. Once I started throwing more, I found that my shimmies started becoming more successful, which not only led to me getting big damage, but also made it so that opponents weren't getting out of bad spots as often. Another big tip, which was something that I already knew, but it was good to have reinforced, was that I was burning myself out far too often. A bad habit of mine was just getting too hungry by doing drive rush cancels in situations where the return just wasn't worth it. And the last note that I had to focus on was that I was often pressing my offense when it wasn't my turn. This can work against opponents that don't know when it's relatively safe to press a button on defense, but at the level I was playing against, moving forward after 3 jabs were blocked was getting me killed, and I needed to respect when my turn was over. We practiced doing 3 jabs on block into an instant air dive kick, which will beat people trying to take their turn back with a low. I also want to take a moment to shout out the Las Vegas local scene, because while Nephew was my main coach that I had throughout the tournament, I also had some side coaches. You know, one of the great things about going to locals is that when you get to play people in person, you can talk to them after a set, you can find out what you did wrong, you can learn more about the character that they're playing, and you make friends with people who can help you. So I especially want to shout out and thank Prototype, who took some time out of his day to run a set with me and then walk me through some of the holes in my game. He was specifically telling me that I was leaving too many gaps in my pressure strings, which basically allowed people to get out of my pressure and continue their own combo by pressing a button in between those gaps. Broach, who also ran a set with me, and told me that on the flip side of Prototype's advice, I shouldn't be afraid on defense to press my fastest medium button to find the gaps in my opponent's pressure, because often they're also not airtight and are relying on me being too afraid to press a button to get out of it. I gotta thank Side-Eye for the Chun-Li matchup experience, Muggs for the Honda experience. You know, you always hear support your locals. Well, I mean, this is gonna sound really cheesy, but I felt like my locals supported me, and it was an awesome feeling. So, shout out to the Las Vegas local scene, and one last shout out to my buddy Goggin, who really helped me out with the Cammy matchup experience, and just, in general, my Cammy knowledge. I only got to play Fee once in this tournament, but if I had to go up against him again, I felt pretty good about the matchup. So let's talk about the actual tournament itself. So it started off, I had the first match against Karku, and like I was talking about earlier, I felt uniquely prepared for this matchup. I feel like you can't really grind up to master rank without knowing how to deal with a lot of Honda's gimmicks. He's a character where if you do not know how to deal with them, you'll just get knowledge checked, and it's just going to be a free win for him. And one thing that I noticed that ended up paying off really well, and this also kind of goes back to Nephew telling me to throw more, but I noticed that every time he did a headbutt, he would just kind of stop there and block because, you know, it's not his turn, so he didn't want to press the advantage when it wasn't his turn. So I used that as an opportunity to just simply walk up and throw him, and I did this basically every time that he headbutted me, which ended up adding up to a lot of damage. Also, one of the weaknesses of Honda is that his only real non-super reversal special move is his EX headbutt, which is vulnerable to grabs. So I went in with the strategy of making sure that I was grabbing him constantly on his wake up.
It was interesting to see the level of matchup knowledge there, man. I feel
Yeah,
like
he
that
did,
was
yeah,
like that. He had a strat. That was a strategy.
The next matchup was Blood Thunder versus Kyle Bossman. And look, a lot of people probably don't know this about me, but I am such a huge Kyle Bossman fan. I actually stole my salute from him. But Blood Thunder just grinded too hard to lose the kind of style that Kyle was employing here. I actually didn't even really know that Aki had a way to completely bypass the fireballs because I use Cammy, she doesn't have any projectiles. But Blood Thunder knew this matchup really well and just, you know, did what he does. The next matchup was Brawl Pro versus Feisty, and I think we all knew that this was going to be a tough one. I think Feisty has the highest MR of anyone that participated in this tournament, so this was always going to be a really tough fight. And Brawl Pro did a really good job. He took a game off of her, but ultimately Feisty's Kim was too strong, so we lost this one. But then we came back with Bricky versus Doki Bird. I know this was a match that Bricky was a little bit worried about. I think we were under the impression that Doki was going to use Honda because that's who she had used in previous tournaments. But she switched it up on us. She used Mai, and I think Bricky might have had a little bit of unfamiliarity in this matchup, but he ended up doing really, really well. I think Bricky showed really good knowledge of Street Fighter 6's mechanics. He was using his drive rush to get plus frames, he was using drive impact in the corner to get the stun, and just played really solidly overall, allowing us to take the victory over Team Shine with the score of 30-20. Come on, Bricky. Oh, yes! Yeah!
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Bricky! Hell yeah! Our next matchup was against Dual Kevin's team, and this time Bricky was first up at bat. And I feel kind of bad for Bricky because he basically all of his matchups were against newer DLC characters. He had to go up against Mai, he had to go up against Sea Viper, and then later he had to go up against Alex. So again, there was a little bit of unfamiliarity going into each of these matchups for him. But again, he did a great job. He ended up losing this one, but he did manage to take it to the last round. And it was even really close. He was looking really good at the beginning of the round, but then his opponent, Ricky Peacock, hit a level 3 that kind of just flipped the momentum of the match, and he ended up losing the set.
Here to DI.
Wake up
level 1.
Yeah, I was like, is he Bricky gonna do wake up level 1? But the thing is, it doesn't matter because if he did wake up level 1, the Sidesman would have still blown it up, and Ricky Peacock taking game number 1 for Dual Kevin.
The next match was a bummer because it was the one I was most looking forward to. It was the mirror match between me and FeeDX. I'm a huge fan of Fee's Tekken content. He has basically single-handedly made me into a halfway decent Tekken player. So getting to play against him in Street Fighter was kind of awesome for me. But unfortunately, he kind of steamrolled me. But you know, he just kind of out-cammied me. He did a really good job of using heavy spin knuckle to get in and just, you know, put me in a situation where I had to guess between strike or throw. And his reads were just on point. He was DPing me whenever I went for aggression. He wasn't biting on any of my bait. He just played really, really solidly. If I did end up playing him again, I was going to be ready to check those heavy spin knuckles. So at the very least, that would have been different if we ended up playing again. But yeah, man, I got no excuses. He played a better Cammy, and I ended up losing this match.
Yo, can they play again, bro? That was hype. I like that match a lot.
The next match was our 20-point match, and anytime we had an opportunity to put Blood Thunder in the 20-point match, we were going to take it. And I think it's pretty clear to see why. I don't think anyone at this beginner level really had the tools to deal with Blood Thunder, and he ended up taking this 2-0 over Abby King Smine. And that ended up making this next match between Brawl Pro and Beckmon really important because we were tied up going into this final match, which is a position that I think Brawl Pro kind of ended up finding himself in a lot. He kind of was our closer, and for good reason. I thought this was going to be an interesting match because on paper, I think Ingrid has a really favorable matchup against Zangief just because her range game is so oppressive. But at the same time, if Zangief gets in, Ingrid's in a lot of trouble. And I think that's kind of exactly how it played out here. Brawl Pro was just able to bully his way in. Beckmon made a couple of losing guesses and ended up taking some SPDs. And that's really all it takes. Ooh, let's go! Ooh, let's go!
Yes.
Clutch. Nice.
Kill her, bro. Let's go.
Then we had to face off against our rivals in this competition, Team JB. The first match was Skullvolver versus Blood Thunder, and this was probably one of my favorite matchups to watch, just because of the sheer earnestness of Skullvolver's Zangief. You know, you can kind of hear it in our chat. We didn't want Blood Thunder to lose, but if he did, you know, we would have cheered on Skullvolver for pulling it off.
Whoa.
Oh man, he is aggressive.
Oh my god.
Dude, oh my god. Chat, this is the poster child for modern Geef.
I love him so much, man.
Oh, he tried to grab the leg.
What's funny is it should have worked.
Yeah. Fortunately for us, Blood Thunder knew all the counters to all the things that he was doing, and we ended up taking those 10 points.
GG. Blood Thunder, 10 points on the board for Team Nephew.
Which brings us to the first of what ended up being 4 matchups for me against Huntress, and this first one didn't go very well for me. I tried to play this match like how I would normally play it, which is doing a lot of dive kicks, trying to kind of bait out a response, and nothing was working. The dive kicks just weren't effective, whether it was because I was just hitting them too high, or I was just landing too close to her feet without touching her feet, which led to a punish. She wasn't falling for my hooligan throw, which is something that I rely on a lot until people give me a reason not to rely on it. So I ended up losing this 2-1, but I did end up getting a lot of information that I put to use in our subsequent matches.
That was godlike. Yo, Huntress Chun-Li is nasty, dog.
No, she got a good Chun-Li. Her Chun-Li is really, really good right here.
The next matchup was Bricky versus Coney, and I think this was probably Bricky's finest hour. Coney actually had a full rank advantage over Bricky. His Alex was Diamond 3, Bricky had a Platinum 3 Chun-Li, and so I think a lot of people probably expected Coney to just kind of roll through Bricky. But this matchup, which ended up being a best of 5 worth 20 points because Team JB had the home team advantage, which allowed them to select the 20-point matchup. And Bricky actually took the first 2 games pretty clearly. He played like a Chun-Li absolutely possessed.
Ooh!
Yo, are you kidding me?
Nephew! Team Nephew?
Yeah!
Dude, Bricky, you're playing so good!
Oh my god.
Unfortunately, Coney made some really smart adaptations in the next 3 matches, and he ended up taking the whole set. But man, this was a really hype set to watch, and I urge people to check it out because I think it's a really good encapsulation of what the new Challengers Tournament is all about.
Danzachu, level 3! He blunts!
My God!
Oh my god!
Coney, back to the wall. The pressure of his team all on his shoulders. Down 0-2 in grand finals, and he brings it all the way back.
So that tied up the score between us and Team JB going into the final match of Brawl Pro versus Hotashi, and it really should come as no surprise considering Hotashi is a former EVO champ in Guilty Gear Strive. But man, Hotashi's fundamentals and neutral throughout all these matches really against Brawl Pro were just so good. I think the only thing that really held Hotashi back throughout this whole tournament was a couple of drop combos, like crucial drop combos, but in this first matchup against Brawl Pro, he did end up getting the better of us, which ended up giving us our first overall loss in the tournament to Team JB, giving them the number 1 seed spot and us the number 2 spot going into the finals. I'm not going to go into every individual match of the finals because it's a lot of just us playing the same people, but I did want to go over my matches against Huntress and talk a little bit about the adjustments that I made that Nephew kind of drilled into me. So Nephew kept on pushing on me that I need to stop doing dive kicks, which was hard for me because I'm so used to doing dive kicks as Cammy. It's like untraining muscle memory. But Nephew was right. I found a lot of success just hitting her block with regular jump-ins, which for those that don't know, puts you in kind of a strike-throw mix-up, because when someone blocks your jump-in, you are at a frame advantage. You can either shimmy to try to bait out a throw, press an attack, which will usually counter their own attack since you have frame advantage, or you can just do a throw yourself.
Low for drivers to get him. Good bait. Look at the damage on that. Big damage. Do it again. Throw. Can't afford to drive impact anymore. Ooh.
Nephew also noticed that she kept on catching my dash up, so I tried my best to do more walking and less dashing. These adjustments paid off and I ended up taking game 2. I lost game 3 in a very close set, and then came back in game 4 to win a very crucial win that ended up taking a lot of pressure off our team and ensured that we would go to a final match with Hotashi and Brawl Pro. Yes! Let's go!
Let's go!
That's my rabbit. That's my rabbit.
I saw you're always like a little bit ahead, so I was like, what did he do?
Which then brings us to the very beginning of this video where Brawl Pro was able to close it out against Hotashi, giving us the opportunity to... We're going to Florida! And that's about it. I can't even really begin to describe how amazing of an experience this was for me. This has been something that I've literally dreamed about being able to be a part of, never really thinking that I would actually get to do it. So thank you so much to Capcom. Thank you to all my teammates. Thanks to all the other teams. Thank you, Nephew, for helping me up my game. I used to think that Master was an unattainable level for me, and then I hit it, and I never thought I would hit 1600. And then I hit 1600, and I plateaued there for probably the better part of the last year or so. And with Nephew's help, not only have I blown past 1600, I've gotten as close as like 1670. I'm almost at 1700, which is crazy to me. 1700 now actually feels like a goal that I can actually attain. Man, I love Street Fighter, I love fighting games, and I hope you guys do too. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.